What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, and today I want to take you through my process of how I make a zine. Now, if you don't know what a zine is, it's a self-published book or comic or just miniature magazine. They can be all sorts of different sizes and shapes and varieties, but for the most part, they're compiled of articles, art, recipes, whatever the fuck it is. I want to take you through a walkthrough of the zines that I've created and the zines that I've curated or edited. So we're going to start it off with the heavy hitters, of course. We're going to talk about Cinema 187, which is a collaboration zine I did with a couple of buddies, and it ended up being a really fun project. And then next thing you know, we got Cinema 187 number 2. So the first issue had 4 contributors. This one has 9, and now issue 3 has 22 contributors. So if anyone's interested in picking up these zines, definitely message me on @cinema.187 on Instagram, because I have very few amounts of the entire sets put together. So if you got $20 US, you're going to get 9 zines and some stickers, and that's basically as fucking cheap as I can make it. And I think that's a pretty good deal, because I live in Canada, and when I want to buy a zine, half the time I put it in the cart, add up the fucking shipping, and it's just a ridiculous amount of money, because something that's like $20 US ends up costing me like almost 50 Canadian, and it takes the fun out of it. Like, zines are supposed to be like a fun, cheap thing. It's not supposed to be like fucking this uber expensive thing. Like, I know it's hard to put these together, and it's not like always the cheapest thing, like, but if it's a passion, like, this is a passion for me. I'm gonna make these regardless if I sell them or not. It's just fun for me. It's like a form of almost like artistic there. Like, you know when you're fucking drawing or painting, but for me it's mostly drawing, and like you're in the zone, you got like, you got good tunes playing, or you got a movie playing, and like that's the same feeling I get from like editing these and like stapling them and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about that process, but I wanted to quickly show these off. I want to show off a few other things that I've made. I've started a comic book in 2021 called Filthy Ralph. There's issue 1 and there's issue 2. These are both available. When you buy the Cinema 187 package, you get both of these while supplies last with those bundles. So definitely check that out. And like, the cool thing with this stuff is, when you make a comic book specifically, you get to watch like your like how you change as a cartoonist. Like, when I look at the issue 1, it's so archaic. Like, I remember thinking this was like really fucking awesome. It was like the pinnacle. Like, I was like totally into stippling or stifling, whatever the fuck that word is. And then when you look at issue 2, I kind of took more of a different approach, where I did this heavily inspired by like Robert Crumb and just sort of like, those underground comics. I went that route. And now with issue 3, I'm doing it a completely different route, where I'm drawing every panel again the same way I did with this, but only I have them all the same size. So I'm going to get this feel, but with more space to work in, because when I was doing Filthy Ralph number 1 or number 2, I was doing it in a sketchbook. So every page was like the size of a sketchbook. It's hard to put a lot of information into a small page like that, because it's just a sketchbook that's like probably roughly the size of a 8.5 by 11 folded in half, which is your standard zine, which works out to be 8.5 by 5.5, which is just, I think, perfect. So moving on to my solo art zine, which is just like compilations of sketches and stuff. So you get shit like this. This is the first time I've ever used this camera with autofocus, so I'm kind of embarrassed, but it's the only way I was going to be able to do this shit. So that was Raise the Dead number 1, by the way. Yeah, it's called Raise the Dead number 2. And like, the thing again, like, you get to see the process, you get to track the process, because the art in number 1 is way different than the art you're going to see in number 2. And then getting into number 3, I did the first color version, which is a wraparound cover, which is a bunch of characters that I've done over the last couple of years. But even this is a leap forward. So right off the gate, you're going to get an acrylic painting right here, and then black and white drawing. And moving on to Raise the Dead number 4, it has a wraparound cover as well. I painted this shit. All the art that's in these Raise the Deads is all by me, for the record, because I wanted to have like a solo zine, and like the spread, like the demons playing chess, and the LSD Teddy. This right here is the first thing I drew in 2023. So now moving along to the main reason why I'm making this video. We're going to talk about how to make a zine. So first and foremost, this is the zine in question. So we've got Raise the Dead number 5. This is the black and white variant. This is the cheapest route that you can possibly make or take to create a zine. Like most places, you're going to get away with 20 cents a page. This is the cheapest route you can do. And then the next cheapest route you can do is just use colored paper. So if you can get a hold of some colored paper, like for instance, the outside page is like a kind of a light pink, and then the inside is yellow. So that just gives it a little bit of a better feel, because when it comes to printing these zines, a lot of times if you don't have like a top quality printer where you can control the bleed and all that stuff, you're gonna get this outline. Like it was on all the other zines. So basically when you use, when you use the color, it kind of cancels out that white bleed, or that white no bleed technically. But those are the two cheapest routes you can go. But then if you want, you can be fucking crazy, you can be a top shotter and be a lunatic and do them in color. So this is actually a painting, an acrylic painting that I did, and I used that for the cover of this one. And then the centerfold is actually another acrylic painting that I did on mushrooms, by the way, with my fucking dad. And there's another acrylic painting. So I'm really trying to, up the ante. There's my notorious Mickey Mouse, Filthy Ralph piece with Mickey totally fucking just euchred. Is that shit even visible? I want it to be seen. There it is. Pretty fucked. But yeah, you can do like a little thing, like right off the gate, like mine says 18 plus, adults only, but then literally on the first page you see fucking Ralph banging Mickey Mouse, and like complete with if you take a look at his wiener there, it's kind of fucking bloody, but that's twisted, okay? But that's what zines can be. They can be whatever you want. It's not just like it doesn't have to be a certain way. There's no rules. You can do anything. Like there's zines about everything. So my little naked cartoon is nothing compared to what's out there. So keep that in mind before you fucking leave some kind of crazy comment about my mistreatment of such a beloved character as Mickey Mouse. But anyways, we're going to go over to the drawing table now, and we're going to take a look at what you need and how to do it, make one of these fucking zines. So the first thing you're going to want to do is compile a bunch of content for the zine. So if you want articles, get to writing some articles, or find someone to write some articles for you. It never hurts to just ask people straight up and be like, hey, do you want to be a part of this zine? And in my, personal experience, most people are pretty dope and pretty much down to do it. So don't be afraid to ask. It can never fucking hurt. So in my case of Raise the Dead issue 5, it's only art. Okay, so what I do is I resort to my my sketchbook of 2023 so far. That is, I go right to the back because that's where most of this stuff was. So one of the first pieces right here is literally a piece from the movie Pieces, so that's going to be included. I know that, so I just go through, I pick some stuff. This stuff is for Cinema 187 number 3. So moving along, we got here, this piece right here is also from Raise the Dead number 5, which is, one of my favorite things I've done recently. The bass player, this makes it in number 5 as well. Yeah. And then here's like this is like a little bit of progress work. So this is the 456 piece, I call it. This is the original ink work, okay? And then I photocopy, and that's when I do all the colors. And I love the way that this fucking bottle of liquor turned out. This actually is right on the title page. Or, as soon as you open up, you see this, and I have a piece lined up for the next issue of Raise the Dead, which you're actually going to get a sneak peek here in a second. There is the Mickey Mouse piece, of course, the original inks, and then the original colors. The Kill Bill pieces that I did. This is the one that made it into the zine, but I also did a color version. This is in number 5 as well. This is going to be in Cinema 187 number 3. This is going to be in Raise the Dead number 6. There's a bunch of like little random sketches in there. Same with these clowns will be in Raise the Dead number 6. Same with this will be the title page piece for number 6 as far as it stands right now. Really like the way that one turned out. But we are going to move on. So first thing you need to do is have access to Microsoft Publisher because that is the program I use. I believe it's cheaper than Photoshop. I've never used Photoshop, like not since I was in school years ago. But do that, and then you're going to format your zine, then we're going to come back to the table. Okay, so now we're going to shoot over to our file prod. All right, so now we're going to shoot over to our project file. Give it an open. And this is what we got. This is the layout of issue 5. So this is obviously the front cover. You're going to want to make sure that you stretched out as far as you can go. You don't want it to be any kind of lopsided, because if you do have the bleed or like the no bleed, at least it's going to be square. Now, when it comes to collating these books, you got to make sure you're careful if you're using text, because when you print it out, if it's not in the correct order, it's going to be all over the place. So when you do these, you got to keep in mind the first page right here. This is going to be your cover, okay? And on the right side will be your actual cover, and the left side will be your back cover. Now, when you go to the next slide, this is how it's going to look when you actually open it up. So the image on our right is our back inside cover. This is our front inside cover, and it goes on so forth and so on from there. So keep that in mind when you're going to be using text. So once you got everything the way you want it, you go ahead and save it as a PDF. And after you save it as a PDF, you can take it, go to your printer, print off the copies. Make sure that you print them on the flip them on the short edge so they print on both sides, and that's all you got to do. A stapler, a long arm stapler like this, okay? Now, the thing with this one is you can fit paper long ways in there. So when we go to make our zine, we know that we got it formatted at 5.5 inches. We put it in like so, and then staple it, and then that's going to give us our spine, our saddle stitch spine, as it's called. So now that we have our stuff all formatted and printed and shit, we're just gonna make sure that everything's in order the way we want it to be. We want to make sure that this is in the center. Make sure everything else is looking lovely. Everything looks pretty good in its color form. Yeah, pretty stoked about this one. So yeah, making a mess here, but jog those up like so. And then the moment of truth. Make sure it's always fucking set where you want it to be set, by the way, before you staple it. Otherwise, you're fucked. Yeah. So there you go. Now you got that shit stapled right there and right there. Staple going in this direction. Now, I've been told, and I've seen many people use the bone folder in order to make the perfect fold. But what I've used and had like good success with is this eraser that's still wrapped. So it does the same. Oh fuck! Of course, this one's fucking off a cunt here. That's okay. It can be fixed. Actually, that's actually not too bad. Lines up decently enough. There it is. So again, there's your Raise the Dead. The color version, the other color version, and then the black and white. I think they all look dope. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you go ahead and leave a 666 in the comments. And with that being said, adios.